Hi friends, this is Holly. Due to popular demand, this is my Christmas in July video 2025. And as always, I hope you enjoy the show. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you click that button. For this one, you're going to need a Dollar Tree cookie tray and a styrofoam ball. And I started off by cutting the edge off. So I like to cut these where I cut up, then I cut the side off. See what I'm doing? I'm like cutting up, and then I'll turn my scissors and cut the side off, just because the cookie tray will start to bend if you don't do that. I call these cookie trays. I'm not sure if they're called cookie trays, but I just cut all of the edges off. Next, I'm cutting that part of the cookie tray that just looks like flat foil. Do you see that? I'm just saving the textured part. And next, I'm going to start rolling this into a cone. Now, you do have to work with this for a while and manipulate it and play with it and be patient until you get what you want. And of course, you don't have to use a cookie tray for I mean, I wanted this to be like metal. I thought that was neat, but you could also use felt for this project. I'm just using the metal. And I cut off the excess right there, still forming my little cone shape, squeezing the bottom because I want the bottom to get into a point. And then I'm going to glue it in place. Still highly recommended to keep your gloves on for this part because the hot glue, metal does conduct heat and the metal gets kind of hot. So the gloves are from Dollar Tree. I mean, they're only $1.25. I think the prices are going up to $1.50, but that's still dirt cheap compared to Walmart. So grab yourself some garden gloves, the thick ones, when you get a chance for crafting. It's a good thing to have. And then there's that little section on the inside that you need to glue down as well. I did, just to kind of hold it all together so it doesn't unravel. And again, still working on the bottom. And at this point, you can see I'm taking one glove off because it's getting safer here to work without the gloves. By the time this is done, by the way, I will have the edges sealed and covered. So once the craft is finished, there's no risk of cutting yourself. And this is what we end up with so far. Next, you're going to grab your styrofoam ball and just start to make a little face on it, whatever face you want. I'm making a little snowman face. Oh my gosh, shout out to whoever did this on Pinterest too, because this was inspired from a Pinterest craft and I cannot find that person. I think it was a blog being advertised on Pinterest and I cannot find it for the life of me. I don't know who did this, but shout out. It was I saw it and I went, oh my gosh, I want one of those. So cute. I think she may have called them like snowmen or maybe ice cream cones. I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know. I just saw it and thought that is so cute. I want one of those. So of course I'm doing my own twist on it. It doesn't look like hers, but definitely inspired by hers. It's similar. So I made little eyebrows. And if you make a mistake, I'm showing you how you can actually take any kind of sharp little instrument you want and just gently shave off the foam to correct the mistake because you can't really erase on foam. And now I'm using lipstick just to make cute little rosy cheeks on this guy. Here I'm sealing the bottom with a little bit of hot glue. So once the glue cools down, I'm just kind of making a seal at the bottom. And of course that will prevent anybody from cutting themselves on this craft, or if they touch it in the future. You could always glue a little bit of felt down there at the bottom or some Christmas material like cloth at the bottom. You could decorate it that way if you wanted, however you want to do that. I just did it with a bit of hot glue. And now I'm taking the color Territorial Beige and I am just using a sponge brush to paint the metal. And while that's drying, I set it aside. I'm going to put some Mod Podge on this guy. And I start Mod Podging him and I realize, you know what, you need to put your nose on first because I'm going to add glitter here in a minute and I want the glitter to fall on the nose. So I go ahead and I take a Dollar Tree carrot and I put a little bit of white paint on the Dollar Tree carrot to tone down the orange. These come really fluorescent orange and I just don't like it. It's not, you could use that, but for me, I wanted it a little softer and muted. And all you do is just dry brush a little bit of white paint on and then wipe it off and you get kind of that color orange right there. And now I'm using some more Mod Podge and this is definitely, I was trying to spread it with a sponge brush. You can't really do that. You kind of have to tap it. You'll see I give up and just start tapping it. And you do have to use quite a bit of Mod Podge. That's just the nature of styrofoam. And now I'm using this, I think it's called holographic. It's really delicate, really fragile, pretty glitter. I love this glitter. It is down below in my description box if you're wondering because a lot of people asked me last Christmas which one I used, and so I did list it in my description box. You can find it there. It's from Amazon, but it's so beautiful, and it just has this delicate sparkle. And of course I cover him all up, and then I'm grabbing a paper towel holder there. See, you have use right there for paper towel holders, or paper towel rolls, sorry, or toilet paper rolls. Here's a use for it. I'm just sticking that in the center because I want, I need a base for the styrofoam ball to sit down on, and this is my makeshift base. And I kind of slice it at the top so that it fans out, because I'm going to be squishing the styrofoam ball into the center of it, and it just provides a nice base. And I do leave my skewer stick on I don't know why I did that. You don't have to, but I did leave my skewer stick on the styrofoam ball, and that's it. I'm just gluing him down like that. This is cute. So this is some Hobby Lobby ticking stripe cloth. I actually got it from Amazon, but I went back and looked at the listing, and it was a Hobby Lobby ticking. Someone bought material or cloth, fabric, whatever, at Hobby Lobby, and they were selling it on Amazon. So I also have a link for that down below in my description box. I did buy it 2 years ago. I don't know if it's an active listing. I noticed it kind of goes hot and cold. Sometimes it's active, sometimes it's not, but you can find ticking stripe cloth either at Hobby Lobby, and this was cheap. Oh my gosh, this is my 3rd year using this cloth, and I have so much left for crafts. I think I spent $10, and as you can see, they were very generous. And I'm just making a little scarf around his neck. That's it. And with this, and you have to do the same. You just kind of have to manipulate it. I like to make it look like it's draping gracefully or blowing in the wind. Just so it looks more natural, like a scarf. And then I just use little tiny bits of hot glue to kind of tack it here and there in place, just to hold it in place. And that kind of gives it a natural look, or I try to glue it in a way that it looks natural. And once there is no, I hope that's really hard to explain, so there's a visual there, what I did, and you just kind of have to play with it till you get a look that you like. And then I am fraying the ends, or not fraying, I guess, I'm cutting the little ends there of the material so it looks more like a scarf. And I just want to glue this part down here because it was sticking too far out to the side. You'll see me tack it again with a bit of glue. And for the final touch for this guy, I'm just adding a little button. I did play around with the idea of adding more than one button. Let me know down below in the comments if you think I should add more buttons, but I just felt like less was more, and I decided to leave it. So we just have that cute little button on there. And this is the nautical rope from Dollar Tree, but it's one strand of it. So the nautical rope is like twisted around and around, and there's 3 total strands there, I think. Maybe there's only 2. I think there's 2 actually. There's 2. That's just one strand of it, and I kept it because I unraveled a bunch of it for a craft, and I kept it, and I just tied it in a knot and made like a little tassel at the bottom of it. This is a hanger. This is how I'm doing it. Of course, you could use wire. You could use whatever you want. I just thought this looked cute because I want him hanging. And you could make these smaller too to make Christmas tree ornaments. Oh my gosh, these would make such cute Christmas tree ornaments, and you could make different personalities. You could do different, scarves, just the whole thing, and make a set for gifts. I love this guy so much. I mean, I'm completely in love. Let me know what you think. For this one, I am just cutting down a Christmas print. You can use any print. You can skip the print if you want. For those of you wondering where I got that Santa print, it's from a Temu package that I bought about 2 years ago, and I'm still going through them. I'm trying to use what I have. And now I'm using some of the Folk Art Antique Wax as a stain, and I'm just using a brush and painting it on. I didn't water it. Actually this might have a little tiny bit of water in it because I think it's running low, and I may have added a little bit of water, which I like to do because it makes it slip and slide better. And I'm just staining the Dollar Tree crate and the Dollar Tree birdhouse, and I'm going to give it a blow dry so we can move forward here. And now I have the $1.25 wood dowels. You can find those also in the Crafter's Square section at Dollar Tree. And that's good news, actually. I heard the crafting stuff is not going up, so we're still going to be at $1.25 for that. And I use my trusty little saw. I love that thing. If you're interested in it, again, the link is down below in my description box. And I also tag it in my video so you guys can find it because it's made crafting so fun and so much easier. I wish I had gotten it years ago. And I'm just, okay, so with the picture here, you saw me tear the edges. I just like to do that so it looks a little distressed and I just like that look. You can skip that if you don't like it. And I used a glue stick to glue it on, and now I'm cutting it, and I'm actually allowing the image to fall down into the crack there. I didn't remove it because I want the complete image, and of course his little face is part of the image, so I didn't want to take his face out. And I'm using the Dollar Tree spatula there. It's just a silicone spatula they sell in the makeup section that I use for usually hot glue. Yeah, that became viral. Boy, I just grabbed that thinking that would be good for hot glue back in 2020. And I had no idea how viral silicone spatulas would become. Because at that time, I think everybody was just using popsicles, the craft sticks for holding down hot glue, which you can still do, but you have to throw them away because the glue sticks. And I found they used to make them better, you guys, at the Dollar Tree. They actually used to make the silicone spatulas a 100% silicone. And then they got cheap and started doing plastic and the glue sticking now. So only the pink one works. If you find that pink one, double-sided, that's the one that works still at Dollar Tree. The other ones aren't very good, so I wouldn't bother buying them. Sorry, or find a silicone spatula from another store that is 100% silicone. So then I added the little wooden beads. We're going to stain those later. And now I just want to frost these things up so it looks like there's snow. I'm adding some white paint, just using the little sponge brush. Again, I think the sponge brush, it is. The set is also from Dollar Tree, those little sponge brushes. And I'm just going around the top of the crate, the sides. I'm trying to think wherever it would kind of naturally frost if this was outside, on the ledges. And then I go around my picture because I want it to look kind of like a window, I guess, a frosted window, just that illusion. You can do this however you want, of course. This is definitely where you're, just have fun. That's the fun thing. Crafts, you're creative. Just be creative and have a good time. It makes it so many people stress about it. They'll write to me and go, oh, that didn't, and it's like, it's okay. It looks beautiful. Just have fun. So anyway, I am now going to add some of the Mod Podge on the top of the birdhouse, and I started off with baking soda for the snow, and it just didn't have enough glitter and sparkle and just that kind of magical Christmas feel to it. So I thought, I put some more Mod Podge on top of the baking soda, and then I added my glitter. That did the trick, by the way. Look at that. It just ended up sparkling so pretty. And of course I made sure I had a little bit on the, right there, a little bit on the edge where the bird would, that little perch right there, where a bird would sit, I guess. And of course, we have to frost up the little dowel as well. Then I took some Dollar Tree foam that I had left over, and I just glued it down in the crate, and I pushed the dowel down inside that, and I'm putting Spanish moss on top of everything to cover it up. And then we're just going to go about adding like embellishment and stuff on top of the Spanish moss to make this. And again, this gets so fun because you could put whatever you want inside the crate to make it Christmassy. You could make it a winter DIY. You could even do this. This would actually make a really pretty Easter or spring DIY too. This is definitely interchangeable. You could leave the frost off and just leave it stained, and you could make it for Christmas, and then you could take the Christmas stuff out and put the Easter eggs in and Easter stuff. Fall, you could do the same thing with fall. I put snow on mine, so I think I'm kind of committed here to Christmas or winter, but that's what I wanted. Anyway, so I'm just adding some berries. So at first I put the bird in there, and I put some of the berries underneath him to hold him up, and then he just wasn't kind of staying down very well, so I ended up taking a Dollar Tree skewer right here, skewing the little birdie, and that's also a Dollar Tree little red, I think it's a red cardinal, and I ended up skewering him and then putting him down in the foam. That way, that did the trick. And I'm just adding like antique bells in there. I believe I got those from Amazon. Berries, pine cones, just Christmas stuff. And I made a little raffia bow, and I did end up putting a tall piece of pine behind the birdhouse. See on the left-hand side there, I just thought that created a beautiful silhouette. And now, of course, I have to frost everything that I put inside the crate so it matches, and we're all done. And I think this is such a beautiful, and it could be a four-season decor piece, but I think it's such a beautiful Christmas craft. I would love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. For this one, you're going to need the famous Dollar Tree stick-on tiles. I love these. They pretty much upgrade every craft you put them on, at least in my experience. And I grabbed these 9 balloon size measurement tools. So this is from Dollar Tree, and it was just random, but what they are is different circle shapes, and I just thought, oh, that is going to come in so handy if you craft for a template, just so you have perfect circles and they're all like, you know, slowly descending and ascending. So you could do so many things. So if you see that, you should pick it up. It's a good thing to have in your crafting stash. And I am making 2 circles on the back of each of these tiles. So I used 2 tiles altogether because that's all I had in my stash. I actually would have liked to have done this with 3 tiles. So I'm going to make another one because I want it to be even taller. But I'm going to go ahead, like I said, and trace the circles out and then cut them out. So we're going to end up with 4 different circles with the, you know, made out of the Dollar Tree tile. Right there. That's what they look like. And I threw away the paper on the back that I had cut out, and there was paint in my trash, so I couldn't retrieve it. So save the back of the tile for the next part. Unless you're really, really good at eyeing or measuring, I'm not. So I ended up having to trace out 4 more circles from computer paper because I wanted the center to be perfect. So I folded my circle in half and then in half again, and then I cut a wedge out. And this is what I needed to do. I'm just showing you in case you need to do this too. But this is how I got, you know, I found the center of each one of these circles perfectly, because it would have driven me nuts if I didn't have the center. And then I'm just cutting out the wedge right there, because we're going to be turning these into little cones. And I saw this from a store. These were actually, what I'm making is, well, what I'm going to make is a Christmas tree. These look just like metal when I'm done. And I literally saw these on Instagram from a store last year. They had, it looked almost identical, white cone trees that looked, well, they were metal. They were real metal. And I thought, oh, I could make something very similar out of Dollar Tree stick-on tiles. And I could make them in different, well, my goal is to make 3 of these and make one really tall and skinny, then a medium one, and then a shorter one. And I think it would be so pretty on the end of a fireplace mantle or a shelf, or your little entry table there, the console table. I think it would be perfect for that. So this is what we have so far. And then I took this paint right here in Cottage White. It's Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint. And I'm just going to give it 1 coat. And I do end up having to paint the inside as well. If you do this craft, you'll need to paint the inside because you will see it. And of course, I'm just going to give it a quick blow dry so I can keep moving. Next, I'm using part of these outdoor yard stakes. I'm only using the bottom that's pointed. You can see me grabbing it right there. I find mine at Dollar General, but I heard you can also get these at Walmart and garden. I think I've seen them in garden supply places as well. They're like $1 each. They're cheap even at Walmart. And I had this one left over right here, and I thought this would make a perfect tree stump. So we're using the Folk Art Antique Wax again. This is a watered down version, and full disclosure, I didn't film it. It didn't stain dark enough, so I ended up just putting straight wax on it. You can see the wax in the far upper right hand corner there. I did end up staining it with just straight antique wax. And now I'm using the temporary, I think they're called seed starters, or I'm so sorry, I took the label off. But for those of you that like to start plants, you buy these temporary little plant pots right here. I think they're meant to break down. I'm using that as the base, like a little plant pot. And I'm just filling it with the Dollar Tree stones. You could weigh it down with anything. That's just what I'm doing. And I'm going to use some hot glue there to put that down on top of the stake right there. We'll hold it in place and let it dry. So you will need to space these little sections. I chose to use some Dollar Tree beads. I believe these beads came off another like Dollar Tree sign that I bought, and I just keep everything, but you could use anything in between. Just make sure it's hard. I did try to use like some of the pom-poms from Dollar Tree, and it did not work. You do need something firm like wood. And I'm just going to glue these literally with 1 bead in between each section. I'm just going to go about gluing all of these little cone shapes on top of each other. That's why I was saying, you guys, you can make this as tall as you want. I would have liked this taller. It still came up so cute. This is going to be my shorty. This is going to be the tiny one, but I am going to go back and make 2 more, and I'm going to make a medium one and a tall one. And then the little plant pot there ended up being too tall. You couldn't see the trunk that I stained. So I just take my scissors and cut that down. And I did want to finish the edge of the plant pot. I just kind of wanted to dress it up a little bit. Those plant pots are wonderful for crafting. They have beautiful texture when they're painted, but you know, I find I need to sometimes dress them up a little bit. Oh, and this, this is definitely a less is more. You could add a star or anything like that, but in the picture, if I remember correctly, they didn't have anything on top. The one that made the metal I think actually they weren't metal, they were plaster of Paris. The store that I saw on Instagram, I think they were plaster of Paris, and they didn't have anything on top. So I thought just a delicate little, that's like literally a shred of raffia on top, a little tiny bow just for a tiny accent, but I didn't want to detract from the tree because the tree itself is supposed to look like a little metal white tree. And then I added those half beads around the edge and I'm painting them white. Look how pretty that looks when it's painted. To me, once it's painted, you would never know what that is. It has texture and it could be ceramic. It could be plaster of Paris. It just levels it up. I think this came up so cute. I think this is a perfect craft where you could make a bunch of them in different heights and cover the entire wooden fireplace mantle. I've seen that before online in decor magazines, home magazines. If you aspire for that look, this would be so pretty with like pine tucked in between them and lights. So pretty, and you could do it for Christmas and it would move right on into winter. I found this beautiful envelope last fall and I'm using it up here. I'm going to cut the top off, and of course we're going to be doing it for Christmas. So I'm going to add a little bit of Mod Podge on the top, and I used very little. I know it looks like a lot, but by the time I smear it all over and down and around it, and it's kind of drying as I'm doing it, there's hardly any on here, so there was no wrinkling whatsoever. And the reason I use Mod Podge is because I needed it to be wet to slide this image down. So if you use a glue stick, I just felt like I wouldn't be able to slide it as much. The glue stick is a little stickier and drier, so I didn't want the paper to kind of wrinkle and get messed up. Went with the wetter effect here, no wrinkles, so it's all good. And I'm just bending it around the top here. I'm going to cut off most of it, and then we're just going to take a nail file. Actually, no, I apologize. I did start with a nail file, and my nail file needs to be replaced. It's dull. So I grabbed the sanding block. Isn't this cool? I found this at Dollar Tree. It's new for me anyway. It's got a little like holder on it. I love that because usually you have to hold the sandpaper and it makes your hands all gross. This is awesome. So then I sanded it off, and then I purposely sanded the edge to kind of make it white and old and distressed looking. That's just kind of the look I'm going for here. It's like a vintage look. You don't have to do that. You can always leave your images, crisp and clean and make it modern. You can put any image in here that you want. I'm definitely going to go for a vintage look here. So the first thing I wanted to do is just change the color of the envelope, make it a little bit oxidized, I guess. Looking a little bit older here. It was just too brand spanking shiny new for me. And I'm taking the color Nutmeg from Apple Barrel Paint. It is still my favorite color. It is cheap and it is so authentic looking when you're done for rust. I know I've seen other people use other colors, but I still think this one just tops it. I've tried all the different paints, Waverly, everything for rust, and I still think it's the Nutmeg that when you look at real rust, it's the closest color match. So they nailed it with that. So I just pounced some of that on the front of the metal, and now I'm taking black. It's just black acrylic paint, and I'm just going to kind of bring out all of the edges and the bends and stuff and just kind of make it look, I don't know how to describe what I'm doing really. I guess, again, great visual. I'm glad that I have a visual. That's great. Not great visual. Great that we have a visual, because these kind of things are so hard to explain, but I just like to give it shadow and dimension, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm just going to go around the edge here with black, smear it with my finger, and I'm not worried if a little bit rubs off and some metal shows because it is supposed to be a metal envelope. It's all good. And that's it. And then we're going to blow dry it here for the next step. And I'm going to grab some hairspray. It's a quick hack and it's easy for me to do so that I can keep moving without accidentally taking the paint off, because when you use acrylic paint, especially Apple Barrel, on a shiny surface, even your fingers being a little bit sticky can remove it by accident. So I just like to seal it in with some hairspray and then blow dry it so I don't have to worry about removing the paint. And then I can always go and spray it more thoroughly. What I've been doing lately is saving all of my crafts with hairspray. And when I have at least 5 of them, I take them out and I put my clear varnish on or a polyacrylic spray, because I've been getting a lot of rain this summer. And when there's not rain, sometimes I have to worry about bugs or breezes where it will blow debris into my, I do it inside a cardboard box, but I thought it's just more, I guess, I have to do a lot of planning now to spray on days where the weather's like perfect for it to dry. It's not too humid. It's not raining. So I try to pile them all up and I just, do it at once. So now I'm just taking some pine and I'm clipping it off the little pieces there, because this is a smaller piece and I didn't want big chunky pine in it because it will cover the image up. And I'm just putting a little dot of glue on the end of it and tucking it down inside my envelope. Next, I'm using some baker's twine. I think it's called baker's twine. They sell this at the Dollar Tree, but I've never seen it in red and white. I believe I got mine on Amazon, and I'm just making a little bow here because I wanted something on the front. You could stop right there if you're kind of a minimalist and you like it, or you're a primitive type person where you really like it to look rustic and primitive. You could stop right there. It's a perfect piece to put on a shelf, entry tables, wherever you just like to put a little bit of Christmas decor, even in the bathroom or bedroom. I mean, it's just a pretty piece. I wanted to add a little something more, so I just add the baker's twine. I'm adding some of these styrofoam berries, and I believe these are called pip berries at Dollar Tree. They come in white and I think orange now, but I had a little strand left, and I thought, oh, this would be perfect because I wanted some red and color inside the envelope, but again, I'm concerned about covering up the image, so I just cut. You can see what I did there. I just kind of cut each one and made it almost like individual little stems, and I'm taking some masking tape, taping it together, and I'm going to glue that down. And that's going to give me my splash of color without overwhelming the image. I just thought that was so cute. And then we are going to take some red paint and paint the berries because some of the styrofoam is showing on that one. And see the brown paper right there on the berries? That was just too loud in real life. So I painted it red and I was like, oh no, it made it too bright red. So I took a little bit of tissue, dabbed it off, and that totally muted it and made it more like a deep wine color. It was perfect. I think this is such a great little craft. And if you do not have an envelope, you could certainly make one out of the Dollar Tree metal cookie trays. You could fold it. You could do it out of poster board and paint it to look like metal. I think it's a great accent piece. Anyway, I would love to know which one you loved in today's video. Tell me your favorites. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And here's another video I think you might enjoy watching next.